You fear being forgotten because your ego is too weak to survive without daily injections of foreign approval. But Schopenhauer argued that only in complete solitude does a person find their true density and sovereignty. Being forgotten by society is the greatest gift that frees you from the need to play roles in their meaningless performance. Your solitude turns into impenetrable armor when you realize that the absence of information about you is your primary asset. While they wonder whether you are alive or dead, you are already building the foundation of their future submission. Your psyche is literally bursting at the seams under the weight of the need to eternally broadcast your existence to the outside world. This state resembles chronic inflammation, where the brain stops generating deep meanings because it is entirely occupied with processing social garbage. You feel your internal support turning into loose sand, for it rests not on personal achievements, but on the shaky foundation of foreign attention. Every morning you begin with a mental bow before the altar of public opinion, checking how legitimate you are today in the eyes of the crowd. This pain manifests as a deep and persistent feeling of falsehood in your every gesture. You feel like a puppet whose strings are held by thousands of people you do not even know. Your emotions no longer belong to you. They have become a product of marketing. You rejoice only when your success is documented and recognized, and you suffer doubly if your grief remains unnoticed. Your ego has turned into a hypertrophied and painful organ that reacts to the slightest breath of social cold with sharp, pulsing pain. You have turned into a receiver that catches foreign signals but has long since lost the ability to radiate its own truth. Your fear of being forgotten is a sign of your existential poverty. You feel your lungs tighten from a lack of air when you find yourself in silence without access to the information flow. Schopenhauer called this state a hell for the mediocre man to be left alone with his emptiness. You fear solitude because there you will meet the one you hate most, your real self stripped of social titles, filters, and masks. Remember that feeling of nausea that overcomes you after another evening, wasted on meaningless conversations and attempts to impress those who are indifferent to you. You return home and feel dirty as if you had been trading your soul in the market square. Your armor is pierced in 1,000 places, and through these holes, the grayness of others, their fears, and their limitations pour into your life. You physically sense your potential curling into a dry tube, withering without the moisture of true, deep isolation. Your dependence on recognition is a voluntary castration of your predatory nature. You cannot be a sovereign if you are constantly seeking approval from the herd. You feel your fangs dulling and your claws retracting, replaced by the soft pads of politeness and conformity. Your pain is the cry of your inner beast, which you have locked in a cage made of likes and social obligations. Every desire of yours to be noticed is a confession of your own weakness, a surrender to a world that will gladly consume your life and not even notice your disappearance the next morning. This pain reaches its peak when you realize your total predictability. The world has read you, the world has classified you, and now it controls you through your own needs to be recognized. Your invisibility, which could have been your most powerful weapon, was exchanged for the cheap glass beads of fleeting attention. You feel the cold of solitude not as liberation, but as a deadly threat, because you have never built within yourself a citadel capable of withstanding the absence of external light. Feel how your eyes ache from the eternal tension, from attempts to catch the slightest changes in the mood of the crowd. Your hearing is sharpened to the limit, but you catch not the music of the spheres, but only the rotten whisper of gossip. Your skin has become too thin, it no longer protects you. It absorbs the toxins of the environment. You are a man without armor, an open wound in a world that knows no mercy for the weak. This state of absolute vulnerability is the final stage of your social dependence, and your pain is the only remaining sign of life in you. It is an alarm signal demanding an immediate withdrawal into the shadow. This exhaustion will become your sentence if you do not learn to turn your absence into armor. You must hate this need for recognition so much that it causes you a physical gag reflex. You must feel your ego dying in this silence, clearing space for an invisible and invulnerable sovereign. Your pain is the labor of your new personality, which no longer needs mirrors to know of its existence. Let this pain reach the absolute so that you have no other choice but to disappear and gain true power in the shadow of great oblivion. Why does the ability to be forgotten turn into your most formidable weapon and your strongest armor? The answer lies in the fundamental law of dark psychology. It is impossible to manage what is impossible to measure and see. When you are at the center of attention, you become a hostage of your own reputation and the expectations of the crowd. But as soon as you step into the shadow and let the world forget about you, you gain absolute freedom of maneuver. Machiavelli emphasized that secrecy is the first duty of one who strives for true power. When you are forgotten, you fall out of the system of other people's calculations and your enemies relax. Their vigilance falls asleep, and they stop spending resources on defense against a ghost. Your invisibility is your camouflage, which allows you to approach the target within striking distance while remaining outside the range of their radars. Psychologically, solitude works as a process of crystallization of your will. Schopenhauer argued that in society, we lose our individuality by adjusting to the average level of those around us to avoid their envy or misunderstanding. But in isolation, you regain your true density. Your armor is the absence of the need for foreign confirmation, and when you no longer need to prove your significance, you become invulnerable to criticism, ridicule, and manipulation. He who has learned to be forgotten is no longer an object of hunting for social parasites and manipulators because they have nothing to latch on to in your empty profile. You turn into a smooth, cold surface from which any attempts at external pressure bounce off. The power of oblivion lies in creating an information vacuum, and in a world where information is the primary currency, its absence regarding you is your strategic reserve. Schopenhauer wrote that a wise man is like a deep well silence on the surface, but a vast power hidden in the depths. Your solitude allows you to conduct a revision of your true goals, purified from the noise of foreign ambitions. You stop being reactive, responding to external stimuli, and become active, acting from an internal center. You become a self-sufficient system that does not need recharging from foreign approval, which means it is impossible to deprive you of strength simply by turning away from you. Being forgotten means gaining the right to rebirth without witnesses. In the silence of solitude, you can change your strategy, hone your skills, and conduct the most radical transformation of your personality without fearing the skepticism of those who knew you before. Your old mistakes are erased from the memory of society, along with your name, and when you reappear on the stage, you will do so as a completely new, indisputable force. Your solitude is a laboratory in which you forge your future victories. While others waste time maintaining their facade, you spend it strengthening your foundation. Your armor is the knowledge that your true scale is known only to you alone, and this knowledge gives you the calm of a lion before the leap. Your invisibility creates an effective mystical threat, and a person about whom nothing is known scares the crowd much more than an open aggressor. Your silence and absence from the field of vision force your opponents to fill the void with their own fears and projections. You control their imagination without uttering a word, and this is the highest form of psychological dominance, to be a force that cannot be classified or placed within boundaries. Schopenhauer reminded us that only in solitude do we find peace with ourselves, and peace with oneself is that very impenetrable armor against which any external storms break. Solitude is a filter that weeds out everything superficial and false, and in the silence, you begin to understand which of your desires were imposed on you by your environment, and which are true needs of your sovereignty. Your armor is your clarity, and he who sees the world from the shadow of oblivion sees it much more clearly than he who is blinded by the spotlight. The Machiavellian mind requires this distance to evaluate the situation impartially and deliver strikes with mathematical precision. You have become the invisible god of your reality, and this oblivion is your most reliable defense against death while living. For your invisibility to turn from a coincidental set of circumstances into a conscious strategy of dominance, you need a toolkit of social annihilation. Machiavelli knew that a fortress that cannot be seen cannot be besieged, and Schopenhauer understood that the true density of a personality is achieved only through the radical cutting off of external noise. The first level is information fasting and digital death. Your armor begins where the digital trace of your emotions and plans ends. Every post, every story is a crack in your armor through which your will leaks. The Machiavellian sovereign understands that information about him must be dosed and directed only toward achieving specific goals. By retreating into digital oblivion, you deprive manipulators of access to your weak spots, and your life turns into a black box, the contents of which are known only to you. The second level is the method of social abstinence and the burning of expectations. You must systematically destroy the habit of those around you to count on your attention by becoming predictably unavailable. When people stop expecting something from you, you gain absolute freedom of maneuver. Your armor here is your reputation as a person who cannot be pulled out of his internal work. You become an autonomous island untouched by the splashes of someone else's fuss. The third level is the architecture of the internal citadel through creative isolation. Solitude without a goal is a prison, but solitude for the sake of creation's armor. Machiavelli advised rulers in times of peace to engage in hunting and studying the terrain to know every curve of their land. And your land is your talents and knowledge. While the world forgets your name, you forge a weapon that will make them tremble upon your return. This concentration creates such a density of personality that any external criticism simply falls apart, unable to overcome the gravity of your mastery. The fourth level is emotional hermeticism and the killing of empathy for mediocrity. You must learn to look at the social dramas of those around you as static noise in a radio broadcast. Schopenhauer emphasized that a wise man always keeps his distance so as not to be burned by the stupidity of the crowd. At this level, you train your predatory gaze. You see people's intentions, but remain emotionally unreachable. Your solitude becomes a filter that does not let toxic emotions inside your consciousness. You find a peace that does not depend on whether you are loved or hated, because in your citadel, there are no windows for foreign eyes. The fifth level is strategic rebirth and the change of social masks. To be forgotten means to receive a license for total transformation. And you use the period of oblivion to completely erase the old version of yourself, the one that could be calculated and controlled. Machiavellian flexibility requires the ability to change form depending on circumstances, and while the world remembers you as that guy, you have already become someone completely different. Your armor at this final level is your unpredictability. When you reappear in sight, no one can use your past against you, because it no longer relates to you, and you emerge from the shadow as a stranger with enormous potential. And this unknown causes a paralyzing awe in those around you. Right now, close your eyes and feel this majestic, icy silence that envelops your life. You have finally stopped being a target, and you see these people who used to pull the strings of your ego and how their hands fumble in the void because you are no longer there. You have disappeared from their coordinate system. You have become unreadable code for them, a ghost who cannot be touched by word or deed. Machiavelli knew that true security is not the walls of a fortress, but unreachability for the thoughts of others. Your oblivion is your triumph over a world that tried to consume your individuality and spit out a gray mass of conformism. Do you feel your density increasing with every second of this conscious solitude? You are no longer a transparent phantom seeking reflection in the eyes of others. You are a monolith, self-sufficient and invulnerable. Your armor is your right to be misunderstood and unfound. Schopenhauer argued that the greatness of a soul is directly proportional to its ability to endure solitude, and you have just passed this exam with the highest score. Feel the last tension from the need to be someone for someone else leave your body. You are free from the dictatorship of social approval, and while the crowd struggles in hysteria for crumbs of attention, you calmly observe their agony from the shadow of your oblivion. You have become the invisible god of your own reality, where the only law is your will. Your goals are now purified from the impurities of foreign envy. Your dreams no longer need protection because no one knows about them. You are a mystery that cannot be solved and a force that cannot be stopped, because there is nothing to compare it to. Feel this ecstasy of sovereignty. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are their creator, acting from the deep underground of your spirit. Your absence from the information noise is your most powerful cry about your strength. This is the Machiavellian strategy in its absolute manifestation, to be everything to seem like nothing. Your solitude has forged in you a steel core that cannot be bent by any external storms. You have learned to draw energy from yourself, becoming a perpetual motion machine of power. The world may continue its mad dance, but you are no longer in its rhythm, and you have your own music, your own tempo, and your own truth hidden under the armor of silence. You have found a peace that is inaccessible to kings and tyrants, because they are always in sight while you are in the safety of your great oblivion. Your finale is your new beginning, and you emerge from this battle for attention as a winner because you have stopped participating in it. Your oblivion is your crown, which no one can remove because no one sees your throne. You have become the architect of invisible empires. Go into your silence with your head held high, and you are a sovereign, you are a predator, you are a shadow that has become reality. Your solitude is your gift to a world that is not worthy of knowing your true name. Rule in silence, create in the shadow, win in oblivion, and your armor is your eternal no to their fake world.